Oh, perfect.
Hi, you can hear me, you can see me?
Yes,
Doctor. Good
yes,
morning.
yes, doctor.
Hi,
Right.
doctor. How are you?
headphone എടുത്ത് കുത്താൻ പറഞ്ഞു. Morning, doctor.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning, doctor.
Ashish.
So I'm starting the broadcast now, so people will start joining.
Certainly. Just let me know when you want me to start speaking, all right?
Yes, sure.
Okay.
Oh, okay. Call him straight in. So, he's not put that into WhatsApp, and so, you just have to ring it and then.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Satguru Travel My Webinar series. Before we start, few quick things I would like to remind you. If you have any questions, please put up in the Q&A section. If you have any problem with the video or the audio, please put it up in the Zoom webinar chat. We will try to solve that problem immediately. Lastly, I would request everybody to use earphones or headphones for better audio experience. Now, I would request Mr. Jude Fernando to, he's a commercial director for Satguru Travel Dubai, and I would request him to take this forward. Over to you, Jude, sir.
Yeah, Ashish, you are doing it first. Come on, please.
Yes, sir.
Before I could start, I would ask Ashish, who heads Dubai operations, to introduce the panel members.
Hi, good morning, everyone, and I welcome you on today's session. I hope you all are doing safe and healthy. Well, thank you for taking out time to attend today's session, today's webinar, which is all about life after COVID and health etiquettes. I would like to introduce my co-colleagues who are a part of the panel today. I have Mr. Yusuf Topiwala, who is the branch manager of Satguru Abu Dhabi, Mr. Roshan, who heads the HR for Satguru Group, Mr. Shailesh Pillai, who is our MICE manager, and Mr. Jude Fernando, who is our commercial director for UAE. And I would like to now request Mr. Jude to say a few words and introduce our guest speaker for today. Thank you.
Hi, thanks, Ashish. Welcome, everyone. We are all one family. We have been doing business for quite some time. So we thought that it is time for us to make sure that before we open the lockdowns and start operations, there should be some safety measures that have to be taken. So before we could start taking this safety, we thought let us bring the well-known doctor J.C. Rajkumar here, because he is known for his motivational speaks. He is very well known in the medical industry. He is the owner of the Lifeline Hospitals, done many surgeries. He is a laparoscopic surgeon. Right now, during this need, he and his family, his wife, who is also a doctor, is going around treating a lot of people. Thanks a lot, and hands off to your service to the humankind, doctor. And to give a clue about doctor has been, his whole family is a doctor. His daughter, his in-laws, his son, everybody is a medical family over there. And we from Satguru are very pleased to have doctor on board to update you on few tips what you should do, because it is we can divide AC and BC here after Corona and before Corona. Corona, that's how it has affected the whole world. Every person who is alive in this planet right now has never faced something like this till date. And we pray that nobody faces hereafter also. And taking things forward, just to give a small brief that Sadhguru here is there as a family to you. We are ready to give our helping hand in whatever ways we need. Right now, we know that there is a lot of need for many medical equipments. We have got our doctor who has certified these things. We have got a sister company who does a lot of trading. Since you know that we are in 90 plus countries throughout 50 countries in Africa, so we are sending huge lot of medical equipments and tissue, sorry, the mask, a lot of things to them, sanitizers to these countries. So we would be happy to extend those service also to you as our uh, corporates. So if you need that also, you can let us know. And not only that, during the need, we are here to help each other. If you need anything, please let us know. We will pass it on to other corporates who are here, so that this is the need of the hour. Alone, we can't survive. We need to help each other to survive in this world right now. So, doctor will be giving you all the safety issues. So, before that, thanks for giving me this time to let you know that as Sadhguru, we are here to help you, to show you all anything you need. Maybe it is not related to travel, but we are always there to see how we can help you out, to guide you, not from our side, from the other suppliers or other customers that we have. Thanks a lot for giving us this opportunity, and thanks for joining. Doctor, it's over to you. Please take it over.
Thank you very much, Jude. It's been about 6 months since I've been closely moving with Jude, Tony, this entire Sadhguru spectrum, and I'm very, very happy to, I almost feel like a part of the Sadhguru. I am a part of the Sadhguru network. In particular, Mr. Prakash Lal Chandan has become like an own brother to me over the last, almost chatting every day for some time, etc. So it's my honor and pride and privilege to be part of all of you and to explain things as we go along today. But the first thing I must say is, if anybody has any doubts, as Jude said, put your hands up and say, look, I want to speak. I have this doubt. Or you can put it in the chat section or in the Q&A section, because the idea is not to give you a boring lecture. The idea is like I'm sitting at breakfast with you and I'm chatting about this virus. The first thing I must tell you is what Jude said about AC and BC is very true. Anno Domini and before Christ has now become before Corona and after Corona. So is this virus hyped up? Because in this world, everybody suspects everything. Is media really true? What doctors are saying, is it really true? I can tell you that you all know the last time a virus hit with this proportion was in 1918, at the end of the Second World War. And this virus killed 50 million people, 5 crore people all over the world died. Indeed, one of the countries which was highest hit was India. 18 million people died in India. It's the largest single hit that Indian population has ever had. Otherwise Indian population is always going up. So this virus has reached that kind of proportion. And if you look at the predictions, there's some group of people who are called the doomsday prophets. Some of them feel that this will at least reach half of the 1918 epidemic. That is a very big worry, very big worry. To think that 25 million people are going to die, that's the other end. Then this other end people, they've been saying from February, March, no, next week there'll be a virus, like Mr. Donald Trump. Oh, by Saturday we'll kill it. We'll inject it with Clorox. We'll hit it with Lysol. That kind of, rubbishy, scientifically rubbishy stuff. But the truth is somewhere in between. I have personally been following day by day exactly what this virus is doing. And I was one of the first to talk about this in the public space. I spoke about it in January, before coming for the Satguru meeting in Niamey. I released a video that went viral saying, it's in Wuhan, wash your hands, etc., which I'm going to tell you. Maybe, this is the right time to tell you that. So I said, remember where the virus started. I said this in January in a video. It started in a place called Wuhan, Wuhan. And I said, these 5 things everybody must do. W is for wash your hands. U, use face masks. H, have your temperature checked. A, avoid putting your hands on your mouth or your nose all the time. And N, never go to public places, too crowded places like fish markets or vegetable markets. These are the 5 broad principles of what is called in medical terms social distancing. And the principle of social distancing, is all of you know, is that the virus can't jump more than 6 feet, and because it's within 6 feet that whatever we cough or what we sneeze, saliva, all these things don't usually go more than 6 feet, 1.5 meters, 5 to 6 feet. So if every human being spends all his time 1.5 meters away from every other human being, this virus will die out. But is that a possibility? Is it possible that in this world today, you can keep everybody socially distanced forever? You see, whenever a lockdown opens, everybody will rush to the malls, to the restaurants, to the cinema theaters, and then there will be another peak. So I told you, some people believe that 25 million people will die. Some people thought even February, March, that when 5,000, 10,000 people died itself, we would have a cure. But now, I would say the truth is in between. I was telling you, as of today, 2.65 lakh, that is 265,000 people all over the world have died of this virus, 265,000. Every day, 1,000 to 3,000 people in America are dying. You know how much America jumped for this 9/11 attack, for the World Trade Center. Now, every day for the last 3 months, nearly 3.5 months, every day almost every day there is a World Trade Center attack. 2,996 people died in that World Trade attack. 1,500 to 3,500 are dying every day in America. So why I'm giving you these statistics, my dear friends, is that I want you to be aware that this is not something cooked up by the press or cooked up by doctors or medical conspiracy or government conspiracy. That's a different thing, how it came. But the fact remains that it is killing people every day. So anything that is killing human beings every day is important to you and to me. Important for the travel industry, important for the trade industry. Then, where do I think it'll end? Now, most of us doctors like to believe, I hope I'm right, we like to believe that the end point of the killings will happen 4 to 5 million, maybe 4 million, 400,000 to 1 million, 4 to 500,000. We like to believe that the half of it is over. Even after the curve starts coming down, daily 500 people, 1,000 people will be dying for another 3 or 4 months. That is sure. So I would be very, very happy, and my prayers would be, proved right if the final number of people who die comes up to 400,000 or 500,000. I just hope and pray that it stops with that 500,000 and doesn't go beyond 1 million. So that's about how serious this is. Now you may wonder, they're just asking me to use some tissues. They're asking me to, what's happening? We look at America. I was in the US in early March. In the last 2.5 months, you can see nearly 100,000 people have died there. It's just going up rapidly. And 1.3, 1.4 million people have gotten it. So that is the importance. For those of you in the UAE, it is even the official figures of the UAE. I know everybody will start and ask me, Doctor, how right are the official figures? Now, I'll tell you this. Official figures are definitely correct, maybe above, can't be below. If there are 10 deaths, no country is going to say, no, we had 50 deaths. If there are 2,000 people, no country is going to say 10,000 people. So even the official number here is between 10,000 and 20,000. So that is, if you look at India with 1.3 billion people, we've got 50,000. Here, with just 9 million people, which is so tiny, almost like it's a 500 times smaller population, but the number is quite a lot. The number of 10 to 20,000 is nearly half the number that we have in India. You can understand how, for a small country compared to India, you have 10,000, 20,000 people walking around with this virus, especially the labor camp population. It is huge. So that is the first part of my talk, that this problem, as Jude said, the words like Google, Yahoo, Internet, everybody, the whole world knows these words. More than that, the whole world knows COVID. It has already affected 212 countries. And if you look at one or two countries that have escaped, some little island where nobody went, I think East Timor, there's nobody, it's away from Australia. Like that, a few people have escaped. Otherwise, this has affected the whole world. Let us hope and pray that this is not one of the biblical pestilences. You know, in every religion, whether it's Hinduism, Kalki Avatar, or the Bible, with the pestilence, the apocalypse, the 5 horsemen, or Islam, Qaimatin, all of them, the Jews talk about plague and pestilence. Maybe this is what all our holy books have said over the centuries. You know, but anyway, we have to wait and see. In the meantime, what is the best thing that we can do? That is my second part of my talk. As Satguru executives, how will your life be now in the time of COVID and after? Number one, social distancing is going to become a norm. I know for a fact that you guys all spend hours and hours in front of your iPads or in front of your phones. You are still conducting business and talking, right? So first thing is work patterns. Let me talk to you, because I know that you guys are all very work focused. The work patterns are going to change. Whatever you can do from your homes with your iPads or with your telephones, why should you go to an office? So the size of offices, the size is going to start shrinking. The number of people who are going to be working out of home is going to start increasing. Those that have to be present in the office, only those will start being there. So all this will start changing. The amount of travel, commuting for half an hour or 1 hour, coming from Sharjah to Dubai and going back, that will start becoming less. You will actually start getting more productive. If you utilize those 8 hours from home, your 1 hour to travel and 1 hour to back, you know, you can just wear a t-shirt and shorts. Especially somebody was saying the lower half, there are many people who come for webinars wearing very smart shirt and tie and shorts. Nobody can see. All that is going to change. Only this part is going to be presentable. Dressing up for the full kind of entire suit, socks and shoes, it's going to become much less in the future. All businesses that can be conducted, like accounting, helping in law, booking train or plane tickets, all back-end works. A person need not go to, the largest expansion of businesses was so-called the business process outsourcing, like Cognizant Technology, CTS, TCS. They all have these huge buildings. A lot of people come in wearing their wearing their badge, their nameplates, and they go in and work at various infotech parks. That will change. There will be better firewalling of electronic services, and all these people will be working from high security, internet security spots, working from their home. So all this is going to impact you. The next point, carpooling, very interesting. One of the studies in the US said that people would not go back to carpooling for many months. You don't know what the other guy has got. He may look healthy, he may look smart, but he may be carrying the virus. And the tragedy is, the smart, healthy people, young, good-looking people, like a lot of you Satguru executives, nothing will happen to you guys. You will pick up the virus and go back to your flat, and your next door neighbor, some old lady, she'll get serious, or next door old man will get, or worse comes to worst, our next generation, older people, they might get very sick. Carpooling, travel. The fact that oil prices have tanked and there are thousands of ships all over the world carrying oil, but no place to buy the oil, no place to offload the oil. This itself indicates that travel is only going to be essential travel. In a way, with the whole Aldous Huxley, famous writer, wrote about a world called the Brave New World. It is possible that the whole world is going to be, not as possible, very, very probable, that the whole world is going to be different. People are going to think carefully, avoid carpooling, avoid unnecessary travel. As far as possible, people will do like this in Indian style. Somebody was saying, people did this in India. In India, irrespective of religion, we wash our hands and wash our feet before we come inside. Here, people in the rest of the world, people don't do that. People maintain distances and say namaste. Here, we don't do that. In India, obviously, there's a lot of move towards vegetarianism and veganism in India compared to the rest of the world. And we know that it is contact with animals that gives all these viruses. I'm not saying that everybody who eats meat is going to get it, but the meat market is there. No? That is where all these viruses will come. So in the US, for example, there's been the biggest ever jump towards not just vegetarianism. Those guys jump to something called veganism, where they don't take anything to do with animals. They live apart from animals. That is, no milk, no ghee, etc. You would be surprised how many people are moving towards total veganism. Now, this change of life has been brought about by the coronavirus. So that's number two, changes in life. The third part of my talk, what are the changes in industry? I know that Satguru has a very, very powerful travel infrastructure. Now, I studied this in detail over some last couple of weeks, and I can tell you that the international travel is going to come down sharply for two reasons. One, it is going to come down because, I know this is not very good news, people will be scared to travel. And two, equally importantly, governments will not want a free mixing. For example, we know that the countries in which a lot of travel happens, they are the countries in which a lot of virus happens. So, what we should understand is, if all the corporates out there, all the corporates, irrespective of your business, there will be less amount of international travel. Whatever you can do through this very thing. Do you know that all the stocks and shares, when they crashed in the first few months, and there's a free fall going on, the only thing that went up 400 times, any guesses, anybody out there? Well, to all the people in MICE and all of you, the one that went up 400 times is the one that you and I are using now, which I'm talking to you, Zoom. Zoom alone, a Chinese-based app, has gone up 400 times in its value, 400 times since the onset of the pandemic. So I would like all the corporates out there to focus on internet-based technology or internet-based replacement of standard face-to-face technology. Let's move on to economic impact on life after COVID. The economic loss to the whole world has been huge. It's now between 24 and 30 trillion dollars. When I last read a few days ago, it might have reached 30 trillion dollars. It was 21 trillion dollars on April 15th. So it's been about 15, 20 days, might have gone even to 30 trillion dollars. Such a huge economic impact. Now, how would that impact businesses all over? The first thing is that luxury items will start going down. So if you're selling Lamborghinis, watch out. Put some sale of Lamborghinis and sell them, because people are not going to be investing on luxury items. One, because of something called uncertainty of the economic horizon. You don't know what's going to happen, in the next few months. You still don't know. The dust has to settle. The best thing in such a situation, is most economic experts recommend, is to wait, to quietly wait, hold your assets, if something is free falling, you can choose to short it. Now that's a strategy in the market, in the stocks and shares market. But otherwise, people will not go on a buying spree. You have to wait. There's a beautiful little story about the Buddha, where he asked somebody to bring him clear water from the river, and the people kept trying to get the water. It was getting muddied. What he meant was, take the water and just keep it quietly. Keep the glass of water by the side of the river for 5-10 minutes. All the dust will settle. What he was telling his disciples was, in a time of turbulence, just keep quiet. Everything will settle. And what is on top will become clear. And it's interesting that human economic behavior tends to parallel the story of the Buddha. So people will wait, and that's the right thing to do. They won't jump into action and buy some stock now. There'll be the odd people who behave off the charts. You will get the average George Soros. And for one George Soros, 100,000 people will become bankrupt. But otherwise, it's the right time to wait. Therefore, luxury buying will go down. The luxury condo, an extra villa, high-end real estate will also come down. And you can see it's begun to fall. Vehicles, high-end vehicles will come down. High-end, there is, somebody else said, very, very high-end stuff like islands. There will be a rush for some of these Greek billionaires, etc., to buy little islands to socially distance themselves from the world. But that's such a tiny few bit of people in the world. So this is the corporate change that will have. Fall in everything, in Nifty, NASDAQ, everything, free fall, Dow Jones. No spend on things like high-end automobiles, etc. A simpler form of life. If you look back to the last 100 years, we have to look at human beings, how we've behaved in the last 100 years. The simplest lifestyle happened for 5 years to 10 years after the biggest crisis. Which are the two biggest crises that we have had? 1914 to 1918, World War I. Then the virus hit in 1918. 1939 to 45, World War II. No virus after that, immediately after. But if you look at 45 to 50 and 18 to 22, people went very soft, went very quiet. There was no splurge, nothing. Of course, and then in the 20s, late 20s, the Great Depression also came on. Whereas after the Second World War, within 5 years, so people ask, what are the economic trends of recovery? The recovery is anything between 2 to 5 years, all right? Now, as early as 2 years, will life become normal? Well, economists say that life might not become normal in 2 years. Why? Why is it different from the 1918? Because in 1918, there was not so much traveling and crisscrossing. Look at the number of hundreds of thousands of international flights. So for this pandemic to really settle down, for the dust in the water, what Buddha said, to settle down, might take quite some time, because that's the next part of my talk. How long before this thing settles? Next month, it'll by April, May, June, July, it'll settle? Nope. Most of us believe, as doctors, and I'm actually in touch with my wife and I, as Jude said, we're helping the Indian High Commission and helping the Dubai Health Authority. We volunteered to do free service for 4 days, 4 full nights a week with COVID patients. Small things that we can do for the world, and we're very happy to say that even the honorarium that was allocated, we kind of requested them to give it to a COVID widow or a war widow. Small things in which we can be a little bit more noble. So anyway, we believe that it's going to take 6 to 12 months. So as corporates everywhere, you should be that window, the COVID window, which we all thought earlier would be 1 month or 2 months. We're looking at 6 months from now. So probably till the end of 2020. 2020 is going to be known as, in the future, you see, to our children and grandchildren, it's going to be known as the lockdown year, because 6 months more, not complete lockdown. If you study the other epidemics, every time the lockdown was opened, again, it went up. Then lockdown again within 2-3 months, it came down. Opened up again, went up. this cycle of up and down is going to happen after this peak. So life after this COVID peak is equal to other peaks. And you must all be careful about one thing. My request to all of you as human beings, the second peak is always the largest peak. If you study the 1918, the first peak killed only 8, 10 or 12 million. Second peak killed 30 million, 35 million people. And the third peak, 4, 5 million. The fourth peak, 2, 3 million. So always the maximum killing is in the second peak. And we have to be careful that the second peak shouldn't kill us. You and I, do you need to wear masks at home? Probably not. But when you go outside, better to wear masks. Now, next thing is medical behavior. For 5 minutes, I'll tell you. Gloves are no longer compulsory. Masks are compulsory. Which type of mask? You people can comfortably wear a 3-ply face mask. That's good enough. Kala, please get me a 3-ply and the Kala. And an N95. There's another type of mask called the N95, which I see a lot of people wearing too, which we are also dealing in and helping with medical supplies. This is the ultimate mask called the N95 mask. This is the standard 3-ply mask. This is a better mask, but I'm telling you, shamelessly, don't get the better mask. Get this mask, because for the public, this mask is enough. Now, in an emergency pandemic situation, we have to allocate resources accordingly. It's not like we doctors are saying, no, this is not necessary for public. Let them manage with an inferior mask, isn't it? This is good enough as long as you practice social distancing. Whereas this, even if you practice social distancing, if you're in a high viral load environment, then you have to wear this. Yeah. So you can sometimes see, if you want, you can put one, and you can see here we've actually put 2 together. This is much more available. It's much less expensive than this. This is what we doctors are wearing. Doctors and nurses have to wear this. Remember that if one doctor is out of action, hundreds of thousands of patients have nobody to care for them. This is the next thing I'm coming to for all you corporates. Invest in healthcare. This is the future. The world has now understood that whether you have a Maserati or a Lamborghini or a Rolls Royce or a Bentley, or whether it's an i10 that we have in India, the i10 Hyundai cars, whether it's that or this, it's going to be in your garage. You can't drive it around and show it off, or it won't matter anyway. But this matters. We now know, this is a very, very sad thought, but I've spoken about this. Nearly 1,000 nurses and doctors have died in the battle against COVID. That's, nearly as many as the soldiers who died in the Kargil war. And this is only so far. By the time this ends, we are sure it will be like 2,000 to 3,000, which is 4,000, more than the Kargil war is going to be in this. So we are looking at going to happen in a big way. So these N95 masks are going to be the next big thing, and healthcare workers must wear it. Also, don't catch your mask like this. Always catch your mask by the side like this. And when you take off your mask, see, when you take off your mask, never grab it like this. Take it off also like this. Mask should be always handled like this from the side or from behind. So that's a little tip for you guys. Now, the next question in all your minds, have you got a vaccine? Have you got treatment? Let me tell you the honest fact. Never believe what the media writes. If there's a talk about a vaccine, the title, they want you to look at it. The title will be vaccine for corona. All of us will be, vaccine, mil gaya. No, the vaccine will take a minimum of 6 months, minimum to 1 year. Why is that? Or even a cure? Because the whole world, internationally, there are some steps that have to be followed before a drug is used for a disease. Otherwise, because of side effects, patients will die. And those steps will take 6 months to 12 months before we can use it. Therefore, even if I get this tablet and say, I got this tablet, it will kill corona, I have to try it on so many asymptomatic individuals, on so many animals, see whether the liver is affected, kidney is affected, heart is affected, follow those people for some time. Then I try it in 2 different groups of people. And then I say finally, okay, it works. Therefore, my friends, a vaccine is a good 6 months to 1 year away. And that is my worry. So you assume that it takes 6 months to 1 year. Next 6 months, if we have 1,000 or 2,000 people dying every day, then we have another 200, 300,000 people who are going to die, which is what most of us are thinking. So the total death toll will come to 500,000 people. Please remember, America lost 67,000 people in the Vietnam War. That is over 8 years in Vietnam. Now, in 3 months, America has lost close to 80,000 people. I think it's nearly 100,000. Some of these figures, you stop looking, it's so depressing. Earlier, I used to follow it very carefully. Then next, let's go on to the next. Which are the areas in which businesses will develop? Which are the areas where it's worth focusing on in the post-COVID era? Undoubtedly, I know so many people who say manufacturing the chip boards for hospitals, manufacturing chip boards for pharmacies. They have moved into making a vaccine. They're creating vaccine factories. So basically, healthcare investment to make vaccines, healthcare investment for masks, healthcare investments for caps, because people are going to be sick in hospitals. Indeed, we were discussing also about the possibility of field hospitals. We have designed, not just me, but me and a bunch of engineers, our entire team here, and our engineers from India and architects, we've designed field hospitals based out of containers to look after these patients, because nobody wants these patients to come into, say, the maternity wards where women are admitted who are pregnant, who are about to give birth. If you have 5,500 corona patients sitting inside there, so frightening. Cancer wards, you have to admit patients in cancer, and these guys are immune suppressed. If you admit corona patients there, it'll become sick. So urgent, low cost, high tech field hospitals. This is the time. And indeed, our proposal has gone to the President's desk, Republic of South Africa, the King of Swaziland, etc., to put up very low cost hospitals. Why should hospitals be like malls? Why should hospitals be so swanky? You can have a good, clean, disinfected, sterilized, high-tech, neat, air-conditioned, low-cost hospital, 10% the cost of these big brick and mortar structures. And indeed, in the UAE, also they have started following the plan of field hospitals. So many of you in construction, you must start moving towards field hospitals, because the number of sick people, the world has never had so many sick people at any point of time. And over the next year, the doctors are going to be like overloaded, continue to be overloaded. So we work during the day with normal people, non-COVID people, and 4 nights, 12 hours with COVID people. And still the work is so heavy. Please invest also, not in direct travel up and down, but you can invest instead in businesses that involve healthcare. Somebody is making masks, somebody is making ventilators, somebody is making life-saving medical equipment. Many countries have announced that soon there's going to be a zero tax or zero VAT, etc., on stuff like ventilators, etc. Ventilators are simply not available. 3, look at China. China gave the whole world, excuse my language, the bloody virus. Only 4,000, at least according to them, Chinese died. But 260,000 people in the rest of the world have died. Chinese economy is better than ever before. Rest of the world economy worse than ever before. And now we all buy the ventilators and masks. Many of these things are made in China. For this, the central part of this mask is called something called web spun. That is made, the raw material is made in China. Over the last 5 years, the Chinese have bought out huge tracts of land, making cotton, making these factories all over Australia, over Africa, over Asia, etc. All these FDI investments. And now the world is at the mercy of China. A ventilator that I saw at $12,000 to $15,000, you ask them now, it's $55,000, $65,000. Whatever they want, they just call. It's ridiculous. Therefore, please focus on those companies that have invested in China. There is going to be a big trade war against China, and everyone's looking at a new China. That new China can only come in one of two places. It can come in India, or it can come in Africa. And to a lesser extent, it may come in Vietnam, Taiwan, Cambodia, and last, maybe Australia. The new China, whichever country adopts fully, permits people to set up new businesses. That country will be able to attract huge investments from multinationals. I hope and pray that India and Africa, that are the so-called developing, the Westerners always say developing. If we take on this, we will be the new China. We will be the new economic superpowers. And all the indications seem to show that India is going to be the next superpower. I'm not saying this only because I'm Indian. I'm saying this because that's the way the economic trend is happening. Mentally, life after COVID. Very big topic. In 5 minutes, I will tell you, life is never going to be the same. Number one, people are going to realize that you can stay at home, you can exercise, you can do your work out of the computer, don't have to travel up and down, and you're socializing. Somebody was saying already many people are having Zoom beer parties. Each man is drinking beer in his own house, but there's a Zoom party and there are 20, 30 people cracking jokes and having beer. This will be the new normal. The new normal is going to be this. In terms of mental diseases, there is going to be a huge rise in mental diseases because there's a lot of data that says that if you're alone or it's just you and within your family, and if you don't have much of social contact, there will be changes in our brain, and there's going to be an increase in the number of people who land up with mental problems. It may be as much as 30-40% according to much of the details. So you'll start finding mental hospitals coming up in a bigger way soon. Human being is a mental case in the modern time. Another interesting, I would like all of you to read an article by one Laurie Garrett, Pulitzer Prize winner. Fantastic article that says that the split between the haves and the have-nots is going to change hugely. There are going to be some people who are going to become super wealthy. They will short circuit the market. They will short, and those guys will become billionaires overnight. And there'll be a lot of people who are barely surviving, who lost their jobs, who have pay cuts, just about surviving. Therefore, the whole world will be divided into haves and have-nots. And as a result, something called collective rage. Remember this term. You're going to read about it in the newspapers in the next few months. At that time, you will say, Dr. Rajkumar said this first. Something called collective rage. One guy, he says, okay, these few businesses are going to fall. This business is going to fall. I'm betting my money that it's going to fail. And he makes money that way. And the rest of the society is watching him. The rest of the society will hate him. And there will be a collective rage. That collective rage, if it gathers large enough, there is a possibility of social revolution. There is a possibility of social revolution. Like it happened in 1917 in Russia, in China with Mao Zedong, like it happened in the 40s with Joseph Stalin and Russia. That collective rage will happen. And that is why it is better that we don't behave in an ostentatious manner. I also think when the whole world is dying, If somebody says, doctor, I'm building some villa with 25 rooms and 20 jacuzzis or something, I'll say, this bloody fellow, people are dying out there without food and without the virus, and he's building this. That is called collective rage. Whereas 5 years ago, we would have said, chalo yaar, enjoy. So please understand, all our behaviors are going to be affected. Whatever I'm saying is for 1 to 5 years. After 5 years, world has a short memory, and very, very soon, the whole thing will go down. So this is, in a nutshell, over the last 45 minutes, I've talked to you about what this virus is, how it can kill people, how many people have been killed, its health impacts, biological impacts, is a vaccine close by, its economic impacts, which are the businesses that will grow. And I'll be very, very happy for the next 10 minutes or 15 minutes to take or answer any questions. For those of you, one nice thing about these webinars is you can all just put me on and happily go to sleep or have your shower or do your exercise and come back after 45 minutes, which you can't do in a conference room. So I hope at least you used the last 45 minutes properly. If you weren't listening to me, I hope you had a proper shower and exercise or yoga or whatever. And I'm happy to take your questions. Jude, Sailesh?
Hi, sir. So in the Q&A session, there are a few questions which has come in. So
Absolutely.
if you can just click, you can see the questions. And
yes, oh yes. So the coming plague from Aziza, yes? It's a good point that there could be a coming plague, especially the second one. If the second wave, as I told you, comes up in a big way, yes, then it could hit. I will tell you what, if it's going to happen, as I said, que sera, sera, it will happen. And we all might not be alive to discuss this in the next 6 months or 1 year. We might not be alive. Many of us might be dead. So what's the point of worrying about it? Let's just take steps, whatever steps we can, given the circumstances, and behave boldly. Sunil Gavaskar used to say, when the going gets tough, the tough gets going. That's his favorite comment of Sunil Gavaskar. Now, the going is tough all around the world. So we are the tough guys. Instead of saying, oh my gosh, we're going to die, let's get going and get past the world. Other questions? Can you please repeat the full form of the good Wuhan acronym from Melroy Dixon? Yes, Melroy, WUHAN. Remember, that's the epicenter. If somebody asks you epicenter of corona, it's Wuhan. All right, so W is wash your hands. How long should you wash your hands? 20 seconds. How do you know it's 20 seconds? Simple, Melroy. Just sing happy birthday to you, happy birthday to you, happy birthday to Melroy, your own name. Happy birthday to you. That's 10 seconds. So twice you must sing that. That's 20 seconds. So 20 seconds if you're using soap and water. At least 5 to 10 seconds if you're just using hand sanitizer. Just the hand sanitizer just touches you and you walk away. It's not like a holy water touching a possessed person. You have to actually spread it around carefully. So another question was about, so that's about wash your hands. You use a face mask. H, have your temperature checked. I think all of you are checking your temperature in all the corporates. A, avoid touching your, A and N can change this way. A, avoid touching your nose and mouth, because this is how the virus just comes from your hand and then goes through your nose or your mouth. And N, A is avoid touching or avoid going to public places. And the other one is for N, never touch your hands to your face and mouth. A, avoid going to public places like malls. I hope you guys got that. That's Wuhan. Another interesting question there on depression. Nice. Daphne says, very inspiring, going and stuff, but surely we'll make through it. We need to look at human. It's now no longer India versus Pakistan or stuff like that. It's the world, human beings versus virus. Good question from Fatima, how to deal with depression during these times. Well, another day I'll talk to you about the 4 happy hormones. One hormone, there are 4 hormones that keep you like full of Josh, Josh say, Ratna. So one comes up when you're exercising or doing yoga. One comes up when you're talking or reacting with people whom you like and people whom you love. One hormone comes up when you believe that you are doing something for others, like the golden rule, do unto others as you would have them do unto you. When you're doing good things for others, one hormone in your body goes up. And the fourth hormone comes up when you meditate or when you pray, when you talk to yourself. So talk to yourself, do some help for others, be in touch with your loved ones, can be friends, can be family. And first one is exercise and yoga. That's how you will deal with depression. From Aziza, how will one mentally prepare themselves to go see family back home in India without worrying that they might pass the infection? Don't worry, you will be checked you will have a swab for COVID before you go back to India. Your swab will be negative, and the type of swab that is done in the UAE is very robust. It's not a rapid test kit, it's a proper swab, and therefore don't worry, you will surely be negative. And despite that, what India is saying is, you might have been negative in Dubai or in Sharjah. You come to the kind of the airport, and then you come to Mumbai airport. At that point of time, you might have picked it up. So you will need a 14-day to 21-day quarantine when you go back to India, unfortunately. Good question from Harish Ramachandran. What needs to be done with close contacts if a company staff tests positive? Very practical question. Now, right now, the UAE Ministry of Health advisory is that all close contacts, first degree contacts, somebody sitting in one hall, he developed positivity. All the chaps with whom he had contact in that hall should be asked to do home quarantine and should be asked to do social distancing, to wear. They are the ones who should wear a mask at home. They are the ones who can wear the N95 mask. So N95 is for patients and healthcare workers. 3-ply mask is for the rest of the world. So they should be isolated. And if they develop symptoms like fever, cough, or breathlessness, they should go to there's a nearby center, like for example, where I'm in central Dubai, it's 800-342. Outside, it's 800-111. So there's a helpline that the Ministry of Health gives, and they must ring up and they must be checked. Anyway, they're not going to be able to, there are not that many isolation centers to house these people. DHA. Yes, the Dubai Health Authority has really tackled beautifully, and the Ministry of Health, the kind of isolation, the food that these people are provided, the medicines that they're provided. They're given air conditioning, they're given Wi-Fi. In many places there's television and isolation, and doctors and nurses to look after them. Amazing. For a country this small, 9 million people, to look after 10 to 20,000 people is very difficult. In India, with 1.3 billion people, they're struggling to look after 50,000 people. So I think overall in this pandemic, this country has done a great job, and that is from my heart. It's not thinking somebody's going to see it and so they're going to, otherwise they'll catch me and stuff like that. Paka, they've done a good job. Now the issue is, what happens to all these people? And that is a socio-political issue. Maybe we should not get into that. But so far, the way they've been checked, the way they've been treated. I'll tell you, sometime back, 9 lakh people were checked in India, all right? Same time, 9 lakh people had been checked in UAE. What do you make of that? With the population 500 times smaller, same number of people, 9 lakh. So that's, I think overall DHA is doing a great job taking over smaller hospitals, etc. I'll tell you the other thing that's going to be lower in the future, plastic surgery, because one of the places where I work in, people come there to have their noses lifted or their boobs lifted, etc., etc. It's a facelift, boob lift, skin lift, a kind of lift kind of place, plastic surgery. Obviously, people, first of all, there are not that many parties where these people can, this idea of being looked at is a little less now. And second thing is that they'll be scared to go for something simple like that to a place and come back with corona. So better to have a slightly less sharp nose than to have a better nose and corona with it. So a lot of changes are happening. Movies also. It's going to be, I think the movies will start like a pay from your home, satellite. That's going to be the future. It's going to be quite some time before people go into a movie theater. That industry is going to be really hit. You can have your popcorn at home, have your friends, maybe 3 or 4 at home, rent a film and watch it rather than go to a theater. A lot of huge changes are going to happen. Maybe our children and grandchildren will forget this going to a movie with friends, having popcorn and hanging around in a mall. That might go away.
Hi, Dr. Sailesh here. There's few more questions which has come up in the Q&A tab. So if you see below the screen, there's a Q&A tab. So you can just,
Hello, can you give me a hand? There's a chat, there's webinar settings. Oh, there's a
there's,
Q&A. I am sorry, I'm so sorry, I missed that.
yeah.
Guys, let me know if, I'm happy to stop whenever you want me to. My father used to say, you must stop speaking before the people have stopped listening. That's a good speaker. So what are the etiquettes we need to maintain at our office premises? Very, very important. Please, this 10 people getting together near the water cooler or near tea and cracking jokes, that the jokes have to be hereafter electronic. Huh? Avoid unnecessarily mixing with people. You should wear masks at work. You should check this thermal scanning of people as they enter. When they enter an office, you must immediately do a thermal scan. Number 4, it may be good to have a doctor to come and check. Anybody with a higher temperature, have a doctor to come and check these people. And very, very important, number 5, thinking about corona, don't forget that those with diabetes, you have to look after them. Those with piles, you have to look after them. What's happening is they're forgetting to look after other people. Good question, Gaurav. Anonymous. Why anonymous? You could have said your name. How reliable is the HCQ medicine for the prevention of coronavirus? What will be advised to people who are unfortunately going in the path of self-medicating instead of reaching out to medical professionals? Well, the answer is very good question. Mr. Anonymous wrote a very good question. We still don't know exactly how reliable the HCQ is for prevention. But we know that in treatment, although we are treating our 500 patients with HCQ, there is no data to say it makes a big difference. Indeed, for critically ill patients, some data is, conflicting data is coming out. Somebody is saying it's helping a little bit, and someone else is saying it's actually making them worse. It's actually making them worse. But to be honest, we're all, I'm on HCQ, my wife's on HCQ, all of us are doctors, we're on HCQ. You can really, it's a nauseous, horrible thing for 1 or 2 days when you take that. But yes, it will prevent, it may prevent. How reliable it is, we don't know, no data, but it may prevent. Next question. Doctor, there are some cotton clothes masks. Are they good to wear as the other 2 masks? I get congestion, feeling heavy. Also the other 2 masks, what's the duration time? Good question, Sam. If you're part of the public, you are part of the public, you're not having contact with nurses or doctors or patients, etc. You can get away with a cloth mask. But if you ask me, if you're taking my handkerchief and putting it like this, like, just a regular one, like pansing tomat, that does some 50%, 40 to 50% of the bacteria and viruses will be filtered. When you wear this, it's 70 to 80. When you wear this, it's 95% to 99%. So you take your call. If you can't, I tell people, if you can't afford, like in a country like India or Bangladesh, everyone can't keep on buying these. At least you do that. At least go in for 50% protection compared to 99%. How long can you wear a mask? This mask, if you wear it, technically, whenever you're exposed, you should be wearing it. You can wear this for 24 hours. This one is horrible, full congestion when you wear it. So we say 6 to 7 hours. We also dive inside and pull it off and take a few big breaths. What to do? I hope that answers Ian Karthik's question. Is there no vaccine? Ramesh Khan is asking, is there no vaccine to COVID-19? Then how doctor to treat the patients who get recovered? Very interesting, once you get recovered, the virus won't hit you for 3 years. You get automatic, that's why young people who get it, we are not worried as doctors. We will tell them, even if it is COVID, if you're 15 or 18 or 20, 25, usually we don't worry, except if they're very big smokers, if they have some lung heart disease, the virus can't hit again. How about another question from Irene to say, how about if you're exposed to a COVID positive? Well, you have to have social distancing minimum 2 weeks. One question, we cannot easily get a swab test availability. I'm living with my child and family. Eileen, if you can't easily get a swab test because they're very crowded, we know they'll give you after 1 week, 2 weeks. You assume that it's positive, even if it is positive. For mild patients, there's nothing, no treatment, is only social distancing, like a regular flu. Take some paracetamol, be socially distanced. In that case, go in for a 3M type of mask and stay away from your family, and you must wear gloves. That's all. Don't worry, it'll be all right. Steel manufacturing industry. Now, steel manufacturing industry, in the workshops, there are a lot of people together. So even if you study, Tisco also has brought some, Tata Steel has brought some things saying, don't get people to work clump. What they're doing is, they're working 24 hours, but they're reducing, instead of 50 people in one workstation for 8 to 10 hours, They're dividing it into 15 people in a workshop place for 24 hours. We saw the news, Mr. Fastalu saying, Italy developed vaccine. Really, first of all, it's not really a vaccine. It's called antibody, neutralizing antibody. It's a form of passive vaccination. It will take minimum 6 months to 1 year. Minimum 6 months to 1 year. Oh my gosh, a lot of questions, interesting questions. I hope I'm not overrunning on time, Jude. So 6 months to 1 year it will take for the vaccine. So don't, this is all like, media hype. Vaccine, kal ye disease bhi jayega. It's not like that. What are the first symptoms of having COVID? Any age needs to be taken more precaution. Kids below 0 to 3 and elder 60 to 65. Dinesh, above 60 to 65, the risk is serious. I'm telling you. Try to keep the elders as socially distanced as possible. This old, there's like in the insurance ad, an old man catching his old wife and both walking together in the park. All that you cannot do. Maintain social distancing. But young children 0 to 3, not much of a problem. Don't worry. Ratish, if a person is recovered from COVID, don't worry. For 1 to 3 years, they won't get it again. What about event industries? What hope do we have post-lockdown? Event industries have to organize events, just like you learn from this. Recently Shah Rukh Khan and Anushka and Virat Kohli did. That is also an event. Do the event through Zoom. So all the people who are participating and talking in the event, they can be wearing slippers or they can be wearing no slippers or shoes also. Unfortunately, the event industry and the cinema industry, the live events are going to take some time. And what people say that after 6 months or 1 year, everybody will be mad about it. You can have one major event every day and make up the money for that. Otherwise, try electronic events. After being tested COVID positive and recovering fully, employee can get back to work after 2 weeks of quarantine. No problem. He can get to work. He can go back. How long can we repeat the same mask? Well, this mask is supposed to be worn for 1 full week. All right. So, can you get sick with COVID-19? No. People think that you get it from the food. You will not get COVID-19 from the food, but you can get it from raw vegetables, raw fruits. If the fellow gives it to you, sneezes on that, then you can get it from that. But you can't get it from cooked food. It's a very good question. So Ashish has asked another question also about what about antibody? Good. So my wife and I, we're trying to work with the DHA. We're trying to get pooled plasma donors. If somebody has had this disease and then he's recovered, in his blood are lots of antibodies that can kill the virus. We should take that, pool that plasma together, and that doesn't work for regular patients. For sick patients who are on a ventilator, that really, really, really helps in a very big way. So, reusable, washable mask effective to only 50%. Fawad Khan, only 50%. It's a good question. And for the community at large, the 5,000 gaon wale in one gaon, and you don't have mask. You have to ask them to use at least this. So it's a jugad way of enjoying that, of preventing virus from getting it. What's the proper method to wash vegetables? No, please don't use uncooked vegetables. The uncooked vegetables and fruits, they are the ones that will carry the virus because they have water on them. That water may be carrying the virus in droplets. So you have to, if you wash it properly in running water, if you use soda water first, and then you use regular water. So you can use soda, not bleach or something, but use soda water, and then like by sodium bicarbonate, and then you can use regular running water. Running water itself is good enough to use it to get rid of that. What are the other questions? Can you get COVID by holding money coins? Alan Luniza, very good question. That if the coin contains some viruses and you touch it, and then you touch yourself, it can go inside. So technically, these are called fomites, F-O-M-I-T-E-S, fomites. Fomite means something that will contain the virus and it will contain the virus on its surface. The commonest fomites are phones. Telephones are the commonest fomites, but even a mask can act as a fomite. So whenever you touch anything, you go back and you handle a bit of money, drop, and then you use the sanitizer. Any insurance companies covering COVID patients? Fawad, almost all insurance companies. DHA has told all insurance companies that they can cover COVID patients in the UAE, so that will not be a problem at all. Schools, Praveen Katka, you're absolutely right. Schools will continue distance learning for at least 2 to 3 months, maybe even 6 months, because nobody wants to take a chance about a child getting positive. You know, the impact, social impact, the fear, the negative impact is very high. So yes, you have to start schooling your children. You have to become, parents have to become teachers to your children about habits, manners, etc. And the rest they can learn online. Cinema staff and customers, what safety etiquettes? Now, well, right now, cinema staff, cinema, I think is going to take some time, maybe another 3 months, my guess. Even if they open the malls, okay, some of the bolder people in Dubai, younger people will go. But older people, certainly I would say cinema and mall, be very, very careful. Go only when you have to go. Otherwise, that is a high risk place for getting the virus, bringing it home and giving it to your parents or your children. This is the honest truth. Everybody likes cinema. In Netflix, you're watching more films than all your lifetime put together. So why you want to go again to a cinema? Take some time before you go. Why quarantine is limited to 14 days, Ratish? Because in 14 days, the virus will leave your system anyway. So don't worry. 14 days is only, in some places, they're saying 21 days. And in India, in some cities, they said even 28 days. Gaurav, in an organization of 100 plus in the same premises, you have to do social distancing by saying off work and on work. So supposing you have 100 people sitting in the office, you make them work one day from home and one day from the office. So you're bringing 100 to 50. If they can work 2 days from home and one day in the office, you're bringing it to 33. And the HR can use biometrics and facial recognition software for people to clock in at work from home. Somebody asked a good question. Well, why don't you guys, I mean, I don't mind, Jude, I just don't want to hold you guys up from the rest of your work. There are lots more questions. You tell me, shall we wind up and shall I take the questions offline?
No, we would be happy if you can continue. I just interrupted because if you're busy, you need to go for the other.
No. I allocated for another 15 minutes more.
Okay.
All right. So only thing is that let me just find those questions. But all these are very interesting questions, and many of these things I didn't talk about it because you can't cover everything in 40 minutes. Now, another interesting question is ginger tea with lemon. Is it okay to drink? Eileen, very good. All of you drink ginger tea. Take turmeric. These are all non-specific immune stimulators. Drink hot water. See, I'm drinking hot water here. My wife is lazy, so she's not added lemon and ginger tea. But if your wife is giving you ginger tea with lemon, enjoy. So, how to treat COVID-19 patients? One is positive, one is negative. Some have symptoms. Yeah. So anybody with symptoms, they should not be at home. They should be referred to the Ministry of Health or DHA. It's a crime to just hold them with symptoms without being checked, because one small proportion of people will become sick and they will die. Don't forget that Indian High Commission tells me that about close to 50 people have actually died, Indians. And so there's something happening there. 10 to 50 is the number given. So ventilation area, will it help to protect? Generally good ventilation. My request is all of you, do some social distancing, take a walk. To call maid helper at home, this is the problem. In case your maid is coming from some congested place in Sharjah and she's gotten the virus, can you check her? So you can't. So you have to be careful. Let her come, but you have to be, there's a small risk. Whenever you move with anybody whom you're not sure about, there is definitely a small risk. That is the honest truth. Sam has asked, is COVID-19 worse than Spanish flu? Sam, for the love of God, I hope that it's not worse. Because the question is that some people say that Spanish flu is a single virus. COVID is two viruses that have gotten together and said, okay, let's whack these guys. So the two viruses have come together. So that way it's as contagious as Spanish flu, but it's as easy to kill. With just soap and water, this is dying. Exposure to the sunlight, it's dying. If somebody dies, the virus also dies with him. So you can still get past the virus, but let us hope that it doesn't kill. You know what I'm worried about always is winter time. When it comes, there'll be huge number of deaths. But this particular, even Spanish flu killed many, many more in winter than in summer. Somehow, this flu is, many of us, all the WhatsApp, at the University of WhatsApp, all the people who have done their PhD in the University of WhatsApp said, wait till April, sab jayega. Garmi hoga, virus bhi jayega. But garmi aaya, but the virus is not gone. It is still increasing. So that is a worry. Has the virus become a little cleverer than the Spanish flu So how frequently should we wash your hands? When you just touch something, I'm doing a webinar, I'm touching all this. I'll go now and put some thing and rub it properly for 10 to 15 seconds. So definitely we have to keep on doing that. How long, Mumtaz has asked, how long does coronavirus stay on surfaces? Up to 6 hours. But the thing is, when you touch a surface, you don't know. Do we know 6 hours ago the maid, she had some corona, she sneezed on it, or somebody else came from outside, you don't know. So when you touch any new surface, immediately you put sanitizer for 10 seconds or soap and water for 20 seconds. Oh, Mumtaz has also asked the question, how to survive the COVID-19 lockdown with a newborn baby. I know it's a bit of a problem because the social support that you usually have, a mother helping, maid helping, friend helping, sister-in-law helping, that is not there at this point of time. I hope and pray that God is with you and that you learn to be tough. One of the first movies I watched in this is a movie called I Am Legend by Will Smith. All of you go and see it. How the fellow manages all alone in a pandemic that has killed a lot of people. So we have to get used to living on our own, and living with our close loved ones, with our wives or just with our family. We have to get used to it. Somebody said that there'll be lots of babies are going to be born in 9 months from now, since husbands and wives are spending a lot of time together. It's good. Why are children seem to be immune? It's very interesting that across the world, children are getting away. The parents are dying and grandparents are dying even more. It's funny because the children's immune system is strong. They are much better. And I think that is why all over the world, children are almost immune to it. In the young people, the ones that are getting it are the ones who are smoking. As I keep telling people, don't smoke, don't smoke, don't smoke. Give up smoking. You want to have the odd drink, I have no issues with that. But give up smoking. Smoking is linked to increased death with COVID. Drinking is not linked to that. For that, don't go and drink every day for 6 hours a day and say, Dr. Rajkumar asked me to drink. You want to drink once or twice a week, or you want to have one large a day. If your liver function tests are okay, I have no issues. But if you're an asthma patient, if you're a diabetic, hypertensive, heart disease, or chronic bronchitis, or if you're a smoker, then you are a higher risk individual during this COVID. I think some of the people there understand to whom I'm saying this. I hope they're all following my advice. Central flat AC is safe to switch on. You cannot live without the AC. So that's a risk that all of us have to take. Can somebody prove to you that AC is not pushing virus? You can't. So there's a small risk what to do here. You have to go with that. It's still like somebody has had a problem with a COVID patient. There's, like us, we still have the things, the beddings are just closed with blanket. Roommate is positive, we spray it with Dettol and water. Yeah. If you spray with Dettol and water, like Donald Trump said, if you use Lysol or Clorox or Dettol or water, then that is fairly, in this situation, you can do only so much, Can you imagine many hospitals in Spain, Italy, they're actually looking at sick patients and letting them die. 80-year-old with a bad problem, don't even admit him, let him die at home. Because you have got only 2 beds and 20 people, and of those 20 people, 17 are say 60, 65, and 3 are 80. First time, to my knowledge, in the last 30 years as I'm a doctor, doctors are taking a decision and saying, please let him stay at home. Anyway, he's going to die if he comes to the ventilator. That ventilator will be blocked. I'll put a 50-year-old, let the 80-year-old die. It's actually like the movie 2012, when they decide who all can survive. This is called triage, Triage. And it's a horrible thing for a doctor to choose to let somebody die and to let somebody live. But that's what has happened. So we are living in dark, turbulent times. Those of you who like literature, Charles Dickens' Tale of Two Cities, he'll say, this is the best of times, it's the worst of times. First para in the book. It's a spring of hope, it's a winter of despair. It's a season of light, it's a season of darkness. We were all going to heaven, we were all going the other way, namely to hell. We are in that kind of horrible times. A social revolution may come, maybe widespread communism. So many things may happen. Please hold on to your senses, keep your friends close, be in touch with reality. Can humans become infected with the coronavirus or animal source? Jitu, that's what has happened. This coronavirus didn't belong to humans. Every single virus has come only from animals. Friends, you carry home this message. Almost all viral diseases have come only in the last 8,000 to 10,000 years when human beings started farming. And when old MacDonald had a farm, became McDonald's burger. That's when all these things started. We got, from the cow, we got smallpox, and smallpox has killed 300 million human beings. We got whooping cough from the duck. We got swine flu from the swine, from the pigs. Bird flu from the birds. This one possibly from anteater, pangolin, and snakes, because those fellows were eating all these things. So please, definitely, there is a risk of COVID-19 not coming from food products, but where they make the food products, the human beings and animals are closely in touch with each other. The simple Spanish flu that killed 50 to 100 million people. Even today, Spanish flu, that flu is still suffering. It's killing 60,000 people every year in the US. That's why Trump said, anyway, regular flu is killing 60,000 people. We got that from a horse. So contact with animals undoubtedly is causing this virus, and we all have to stay together and fight and go through this.
Hi, sir. Salil here. I think the session is going very interesting. A lot of questions coming in.
Yes.
I think due to time restraint, I think we'll have to probably wind it up very soon. It has been a very interesting session. So I would request Jude, sir, to close up the session.
Thank you, Sailesh.
Jude and Sailesh, I also wind up because I have to go to work as well. But what we can do is, you guys are family. So let me know, Jude. Whenever you tell me, I'll come back again in a week or 15 days. And next time we can do only Q&A. So there'll only be question answers. It'll be more interactive.
Cool. Thanks a lot, Doctor.
Thank you, Doctor.
We would like to thank you on behalf of everyone who attended. It has been very inspirational and so much of knowledge and things that we learned from this. Thanks a lot, Doctor. We would like to thank everyone who participated from our corporate side. Thanks for attending. Hope it was informative. From what Doctor has said, if you feel that when you are opening your office and you need anybody in your office to be tested, please let us know. We will always help you to get it done. We can even make sure that people can come to your office and test everyone before you start your office to take care of your employees. Or if you want an appointment, we can try and arrange it for you. So please let us know. Whatever your need, please, we are there. Doctor is here. We will be catching up with you soon. Everyone, please stay safe. Have a wonderful weekend.
Thank you, Doctor.
Thank you.
Take care. Bye, Ashish.
Bye-bye.
Bye, Jude.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks, Doctor.
Thank you, Doctor.